we might not get another good MMO. This is from Jimmy, which is interesting to say the least. I don't know if it's like a bait title. I feel like there might be some truth to it. Like it might be just like that golden era, you know, like golden era of bodybuilding. You look back and it's like, wow, you know, like Arnold and, you know, those guys in the 70s, like, dude, it's just nice. Will we ever get that again? Who knows? The golden era of, I don't know, rock and roll, right? Like classic rock. It's like, are we ever going to get like another golden era of classic rock? Like maybe that was a one and done. And in terms of this, maybe WoW in the early 2000s and mid 2010s was like, maybe it was just a good golden era. And maybe we'll look back in 30 years and be like, damn, that was it, man. You know? So we'll see what Jimmy has to say about this. Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe it's pure bait. Let's take a look.
I've been on this spree of trying basically every major MMO recently, and it got me thinking, and I might be the first one to ever have this thought, but I don't think we're getting another good MMO for a while.
Okay, he says for a while, so maybe that's true.
Other games that come out, they follow a very similar life cycle. A big mountain slope. You start out at the top, everyone's...
All right, hold on. Enshrouded... Yeah, okay. I really enjoyed Enshrouded. Lost Epoch, I actually never played. What's this? I can't even see. I don't know what this one is either. I thought he was gonna put New World on here. Yeah, bro, the New World graph would go hard. Oh, here's Baldur's. Like, bro, yeah. The thing is, like, a lot of these games, like, you have fun, and then you quit. Like, it's not supposed to necessarily retain people. 24-hour peak, 86,000 in Baldur's. What graph is this? Is it this one? Anyway, let's let him keep talking.
Talking about the game, and it kind of just slopes down and loses its player base over time. I mean, it's a typical life cycle for a game, very natural. MMORPGs, on the other hand, follow a very different looking life cycle. They come in all shapes and sizes. They might start out with a bang, they might start out at the bottom and work their way up. But basically, the way you know if an MMO is good and it had any sort of success, long term, over the span of many years, it kind of looks like a real fucked up EKG. Like it's the game's pulse or something. Never healthy or stable, but it's there, which is what counts. It's been quite a while since we've seen a real banger of an MMO. It kind of feels like the MMO industry has always just been this game of king of the hill, and the ones at the top have ascended so high that there's really no catching up to them. It's really hard to imagine them being dethroned, and there's not going to be many that try. Because not only is developing a massive multiplayer online role-playing game one of the hardest things you can do as a video game developer, but it's also probably the dumbest thing you can do. We can't go in.
We were having this conversation yesterday. Someone comes into my chat and they're like, dude, like Bethesda should focus on MMOs because it's an easy way to make money. I'm like, what the heck, family friendly, are you talking about? Like, MMOs take so much time to make and they have so much investment. Like, yeah, if you hit gold, it's going to be amazing, right? They're very, very profitable if you can do it. But like over time, like, no one wants to invest in them and they take forever to make. They're expensive as heck. And most of the time they fail.
Something like that until I tell you about something that someone's going to pay me to tell you about. So 2023 was full of health issues for me, which led to a lot of involuntary weight
I'm also sponsored by HE1, so this is awesome.
Loss. It wasn't fun. So this year I've made it a priority to make sure that I'm getting everything I need for both mental and physical health. And AG1 is helping me do just that. It's got 75 different vitamins and minerals that supports body, brain, and gut health. Very important things to keep healthy. And one thing I love about it, it combats visible signs of aging, which is incredibly important for me as Jagex continues to release quest after quest, making it impossible to end my series. AG1 can also help boost focus and mental clarity, and I've always struggled with sustaining energy throughout the day, and after a while of taking AG1, I noticed that I was not clawing and scratching for caffeine throughout the day. I just put water into the little bottle here. I do 8 ounces of water because it actually tastes good. I don't need...
I usually do about like 4 or 5. I don't know. I just kind of like it like that.
You know, water it down at all. I shake it up a bunch, like get my cardio in for the day, and I drink it. It's a very easy process. As someone who's trying to be super mindful of of nutrition and recovery, I highly recommend giving AG1 a try. You can try it for yourself by clicking the link in the description, and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Big thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's video.
Nice.
The thing that got me thinking about this the most came from a situation that's been kind of brewing up over the last 3 years. In June 2021, Riot Games put a post up on their website calling for any game developers that are wanting to enter the world of MMORPGs with them. And this was amazing news because it's pretty common knowledge at this point that Riot Games tends to not miss. The things they've been making.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty good. Well, the MMO community was welcoming them with open arms. If you've kept up with the MMO world in the last 3-4 years, you know that the community is kind of still waiting for that game to come along that's just going to change everything. There was no real official news released for the next 2 years. The only set-in-stone thing we got was that Greg Street, who was the producer of the project, was leaving the company. Pretty soon after, he announced that he was launching his own company, making his own MMO. It was just very disappointing because he was extremely involved in the community and just had a lot of indicators that he really cared about this and was going to do his best to make it an actual game-changing, enjoyable MMO. Obviously hope for the best. But now about a year later, there's whispers and rumors that this Riot MMO might not even be happening, which honestly...
Okay, so yeah, I remember reading this tweet, but it's been a second. I guess it's only been like a month. Resetting our development path also means we'll be going dark for a long time, likely several years. This silence will help provide space for the team to focus on the incredible amount of work ahead of them. We understand the excitement and anticipation that surrounds new info, but we ask for your trust during this silent phase. Remember, no news is good news, as it means we're hard at work, pouring our hearts and souls into making something that we'll hope you'll love. That's good. I think if Riot's going to make a good MMO, it's going to take many years. Like, what do you expect? If it's going to be good, if it's going to actually dethrone WoW, or not even dethrone WoW, it's a little bit extreme, just give good competition to WoW. The first real competition to WoW that maybe WoW has ever had, then it's going to take many, many years. So, like, I don't know. When I heard this, I wasn't, like, that surprised. Okay, several years. Yeah, it's about what I expected. So, we'll see what happens.
Honestly, would be the least surprising thing I've heard in the last 3 hours, at least. Riot Games has set a huge bar for themselves, which has raised everybody's expectations for everything they ever make. I can't tell you in confidence whether or not this game's happening or not. What I can tell you...
What was this most recent tweet?
I can't tell you in confidence...
We all know many of you are hungry for the news about the MMO project. We really appreciate your patience, the incredible support you've shown us. I'm writing to you to update today on where we're at, and before anyone panics, yes, we're still working on the game. Cool.
Whether or not this game's happening or not. What I can tell you without a doubt is that it has been a bumpy ride behind the scenes. And if you'd like to see what Riot is most likely fearing, if you look up New World's player count history and see how that unfolded, you can see just how risky it is to release an MMO in the modern era of gaming. I've got around 760 hours played on New World and was a part...
760? Rookie numbers. What am I at? 780. Come on, Jimmy. You don't even play 780 out. Like, unbelievable. I can't believe it. That's absolutely nothing, Jimmy. Jeez.
Part of the community during the rise and fall of it. And I also saw how quickly that new and refreshing ideas can completely drain the life out of a player base if done incorrectly. New World's game design caught up with itself. Not really sure how long that game's gonna be up for. Probably some of the most fun I've had gaming during its peak. And I really wish things were handled differently so that it wasn't in the condition it's in now. It was a good game with some crucial things wrong with it, ended up being the reason for its downfall. An MMO can only handle so many mistakes, to the point where even a company that gets their funds from Amazon themselves can't really do anything for you anymore. So there's been some sprinkles of MMO here and there, a lot of underwhelming Kickstarter projects, some that are in a permanent early access phase, ones that scam hundreds of thousands of dollars somehow. But in the last like 5 years, I think New World and Lost Ark are the only two MMOs that can claim they've had any kind of success. I've never played Lost Ark before. I tried looking up some stuff to get some more insight about it, but just like any MMO you try to get information on, it's players that have hundreds or thousands of hours just complaining about things, not giving any real insight to the casual experience of the game. What I can
I agree with that. I think Lost Ark and New World were probably the biggest two competitors. I think New World, in my eyes, had the most successful MMO launch in like the past decade. Obviously, to see the sharp decline it's seen, it's pretty sad. I'd still itch to like play that game, but yeah, there's definitely some deep-rooted issues. Lost Ark, I didn't like as much. I played for about 2 months. Actually, here, let's see how many hours I played Lost Ark for. Oh, is it not even on my favorites anymore? That's pretty sad. Lost Ark, 153 hours. So I played considerably less Lost Ark than I did New World. There's things I liked and disliked about Lost Ark, but overall, I feel like I just can't get immersed into a click-to-move MMO, into a isometric top-down MMO. Like, I just can't get immersed into that. And Riot, if you're listening, which you probably aren't, because you probably don't know who I am, but if you're listening, Riot, do not make your MMO click-to-move. That is the number 1 way to kill your MMO instantly before it even starts. Because I feel like no MMO gamer wants to play a click-to-move MMO. Sure, it's fine for MOBA or RTS or whatever, but like for MMO, I feel like you just lose immersion when you're clicking. You don't see your character. It just, oh god, I hope it's not click-to-move. RuneScape is, I guess, but still, man, I really hope it's not click-to-move, the Riot MMO. But that's my biggest problem with Lost Ark. And the screen, the screen, you had an advantage on Lost Ark if you had a long screen, like a, what is it, 21:7 or something? I'm probably, like a long screen, like a wide res. It sucked because if you didn't have a screen, you had 2 options. You either had to buy a long screen, or you had to play with black bars on a normal screen. So it's like, I don't want to play with black bars because that sucks, especially if you're a streamer or a YouTuber, because it's like, what am I supposed to do with these black bars? How am I supposed to make content when the rest of the world consumes content on normal size monitors? Anyway, I'm still triggered about that. But you can buy the long monitor or play with the black bars, or just play at a disadvantage. It's like, take your pick. It's like, that sucks, man. But anyway, I actually did like a lot about Lost Ark, and that's not I'll go into that another time if you guys care, but I think overall I didn't like as much as New World.
Tell you is that it's nowhere near competing with the top dogs of the MMO world. So between Riot's situation and New World's fumble, it got me thinking, why is this so hard? What is going on?
It's not easy, man. It's not easy.
Making an MMO has to be the most irresponsible, stupidest idea you could ever go through with. In the last 10 years, there have been 20 MMOs notable enough to make the Wikipedia page, and 12 of those are still up and running. Obviously, the
WildStar closed. Prime World, bro. Okay, ESO, BDO, Skyforge, Ori Kingdom. I actually haven't played a lot of these. In development, closed, New World. Okay, wow.
There's been more than 20 MMOs released, but I'm just not counting the ones that Josh Strife Hayes finds buried in the deepest depths of the deep web that peaked at 23 concurrent players. They don't really count right now. It's definitely a dark age. Now, I would say when World of Warcraft went live in 2004, that is when the true golden age started. Some may say that when Ultima Online came out, it kind of changed the game. I don't really think an MMO golden age existed without WoW. It doesn't feel right to me. WoW did for MMOs what Fortnite did to Battle Royales. Because you may have noticed once Fortnite saw success in its little side game mode of Battle Royale that wasn't even what they wanted their players to try, caused about 55 to 100 others to emerge.
I love how some of these things are complete accidents. Like Fortnite, I'm probably botching the info on this, but yeah, the Battle Royale was a side mode that was supposed to be more of like a Minecraft, if I'm understanding correctly. And then Fortnite was like, the BR was just like the side mode that people loved. Right? And then Dota was a spin-off, of course, of Warcraft 3 as a mod, and then Dota became Dota, then League copied Dota and became League, and like, that's insane. And then Plunderstorm started off as a little side project, and the entire community loved it, and it blew up. Blizzard, please!
WoW showcased that you can build a long-term player base with as much success as it had, with as much money as it generated, not only with its initial launch in 2004, but with its expansions in 2007 and on. I mean, how do you not convince investors to let you try and build another WoW? So once this golden age started, much like the Battle Royale boom, we also got a few really, really good games to emerge alongside WoW. They're still here, people playing them. We also got an overwhelming amount of stinkers, some real stinkers that are not around anymore. MMOs were peaking in the mid-2000s. It was the thing to do. It was the style of game that players wanted to play. Even the projects that saw short-term success but didn't really survive, some still to this day have community-backed projects, private servers, to keep the community alive. All these MMO games meant a lot to people. They proved to be this genre of game that you truly did become a part of. And even though the MMO scene was kind of slowing down in the late 2000s, early 2010s, games like Guild Wars 2 and Star Wars: The Old Republic made their entry into the MMO scene and kind of picked up the stragglers that maybe weren't really happy with their games anymore or didn't really scratch the itch they wanted, and were still able to give a lot of players their home base of a game. 2013 unknowingly became the grand finale of MMOs. It was the year of revival, because in February we got old school RuneScape, and in August we got Final Fantasy XIV, both of them existing for the sake of redemption. RuneScape's main game was at an all-time low. Final Fantasy's first MMO, like 3 or 4 years earlier, was a huge flop, so both these companies basically tried again. And now 11 years later, it's safe to say that both of them did something right.
Does OSRS really have 48 million? Is that like all-time login? Like, what? I don't know what these numbers are. 48 million user accounts? Maybe accounts? All time? That's insane. But what I find so interesting too, like, what are the number differences between, what is it, RuneScape 3 or like new RuneScape versus old school RuneScape? Is it just like everyone plays old school at this point and the new one is just pretty dead? Am I understanding that correctly? Like, yeah, pretty much. These numbers are just made up. He just made them up. It's like a quarter of it. Bro, I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but if in 10 years from now, World of Warcraft's numbers were similar to OSRS, I wouldn't be surprised. In 10 or 15 years, like down the line, if WoW's numbers were similar to OSRS, where like no one's really playing the new one and everyone's just playing all the old versions, I would not be shocked. I would actually not be that shocked.
Confirmed. Since then, there's been a few notable MMOs that have come out, and they did okay. Elder Scrolls Online, Albion Online, Black Desert Online. These games are online, in case you were wondering. Lost Ark, New World, but none of them really...
So I played a lot of New World, a little Lost Ark. I might have logged into BDO. I played a little ESO. I actually thought ESO was better than I thought it was going to be. Albion. Oh yeah, I played a bit of Albion too. I guess I've played all of these. I thought Albion was like interesting. I don't know. I feel like it once again, it was like an isometric style. Like there was no lag, which was really cool. And like the world PvP battles were also pretty cool, but I don't know. It still didn't have that immersion feel. I feel like my number one favorite between these is New World, and then maybe ESO. And I don't know, I haven't played enough BDO, but I think BDO might be 3, and then Lost Ark 4, and then Albion 5, something like that.
Made the impact they were probably hoping for. It's almost as if all players interested in MMOs have kind of found their place and stayed there. It really is kind of like finding your home base, and that's just where you retreat back to at the end of the day. We're all kind of safe and cozy in our MMOs right now, kind of making the most of it. But even though the kings are up there on that hill, it doesn't mean they're resting up there comfortably. The wrong mistake could send them tumbling down at any moment. Those profitable, successful games up there, they got up there with blood, sweat, and dev tears. A lot of mostly dev tears. We now have insight to another reason of why creating an MMO is a really dumb idea. Money.
You need a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money, and the return is going to take a long time.
Microtransactions have played a significant role in keeping these games alive. They've got to pay a staff to maintain and update and create for the game so that they keep their players there. They've got to pay for these massive servers. I don't even know how much those things cost. And also making sure that they meet the quota so that the very top executive owner of the company gets the salary that they've written for themselves.
Question, is Jagex milking their players?
Well, yeah, it's quite a big question.
And whatever they need to do to get there, is what they gotta do. Subscriptions by themselves cannot sustain an MMO. It could pay for WoW in 2007 when everybody was paying a $15 a month subscription on top of buying a $40 expansion every other year, but even that caught up. They have a shit ton of microtransactions, and obviously that's more of a problem for the MMOs that make it big and they have all of these expenses, but any game that sees this big success is going to eventually run into this problem of how do we afford to keep this going. Back at my home base, I give Jagex a lot of money every year through subscriptions. I pay for my subscriptions on multiple accounts, as do other people, and Jagex makes millions off of players giving them monthly subscription money. But you may have noticed while we're over here frolicking in our flowers of poles and—
Yo, chat, is it just pure nostalgia that I think the RuneScape graphics actually like look kind of cool? Like this set looks super sick. Like some of these items look cool. Is it just pure nostalgia of my childhood, or do they actually look kind of cool? It might just be pure nostalgia. These might be absolute trash, but like, bro, I don't mind it, man. I actually don't mind it, dude. I played a lot of RuneScape as a kid. I've played a lot. I've played a ton, and this is, oh man, what a throwback.
community involvement and fun. Our brothers and sisters over at RuneScape 3 cannot say the same.
Is Jagex actually this oblivious? We're in a time where RuneScape, at least according to the majority of the vocal player base, feels like it's being neglected, and as someone who's been covering the news and following the game actively for years now, I also think it's being neglected. How does a company with hundreds of employees and, according to the most recently released financial statements, £137 million in revenue, have the audacity to recolor a 3-year-old outfit and sell it as part of some kind of limited edition pack?
What? We get that treatment in WoW like every other month, and people are excited about it. people are actually stoked. Like when people see like, oh dude, a recolor for some money, people are like, oh wow, that looks sick. Like, are we just conditioned or something? Like, bro, yeah, people are upset about that in RS3? Bro, that's just par for the course, bud.
RuneScape 3 has been contaminated with regularly updated, toxic cash-grabbing microtransactions. It's experiencing increments of worse. Players just begging the devs to please stop, as if the devs have any control over it. RuneScape 3 is the soldier spreading its arms, protecting us from projectiles, while we sleep soundly, telling the devs that we're not fond of this idea they think they're having. But what I'm trying to say is that even old school RuneScape, as one of the most populated MMORPGs in modern gaming, only exists because RuneScape 3 offers microtransactions. Because what you've spent on old school RuneScape membership subscriptions in the last 6 years, 10 people spent that same amount yesterday on RuneScape 3 keys. Those are the players that Jagex needs, not you, not me. MMOs are expensive to make and they're expensive to maintain, which by the way—
That's an interesting take. So he's basically saying like they're making their money from RS3 and keeping up the player base and their less profitable product of old school RuneScape, even though, I don't know, I'm making up this number, like 10 times more people play OSRS. I don't know if it's 10 times. It's probably 5 to 10 times if I had to guess. I don't know. But even with 5 times less people, they're like cash cow, so to speak, might be RS3. And they're kind of just like, okay, well, people like this. And Blizzard might follow a similar model with World of Warcraft, right? Like World of Warcraft retail is certainly more profitable per subscriber than Classic, right? I don't think that would be too crazy to assume, because there's more mounts that you can buy. You can buy gold through the in-game launcher. I guess you can in Wrath as well, through WoW tokens. And there's expansion packs coming out all the time, so there's that too. So yeah, a retail subscriber might be paying more per subscriber, which is helping Classic stay afloat. I've never really thought about it that way, to be honest.
Whoever over at Amazon Games thought that a one-time purchase of a $40 game was going to be enough to sustain a huge MMO, what are you doing? What did you think was going to happen? And then who decided that microtransactions were going to be your next alternative, and this is what you have in the store? They practically begged to not make money. What's fucking brackin', baby?
I miss this game. Oh, he says that. I miss this game. Yeah, I remember when New World launched skins, I wanted to buy them because I wanted to support, because it's like, okay, this is an MMO with a one-time purchase. You have no fee every month, and they launch skins. It's like, let's just buy them to like support so we can get some cool new stuff. Like, I don't know, there's no monthly fee and they need to stay afloat somehow. And then, yeah, and things happened.
The biggest problem that new MMOs are going to face are getting a true player base. Not the players that are there on day one seeing how long they can wait in a queue. Not even the ones that invest 200 hours and experience a little bit of endgame. I'm talking about the true player base. The player base that if your game shuts down, they will be on the front lines doing whatever they can to create their own version of your game, some sort of backup code to keep the community alive. Those are the players that you're looking for. They're there because they love the game. They're there for real. And those are going to...
Is this Asheron's Call? What game is this, chat? Or Gates of Anderon? Is this Gates of Anderon? Oh, this is EverQuest? Okay, never mind. Did anyone here play Gates of Anderon? I actually played a little bit of Gates. It was super pay to win. I don't know when I played it. Was it like 20... Jeez, must have been like 2010 or I don't know. It's been a minute. I don't know if anyone here played Gates, but that game was actually kind of fun. It was a lot smaller.
To be extremely difficult to get because chances are they already have that game. They're already a part of that community. And most of them aren't going to be feeling that way about multiple MMOs. At this point, new MMOs have to pull their player base from other MMOs. You're going to be trying to pull players from WoW and from Final Fantasy and from RuneScape and Guild Wars 2. The players that already know what they like and dislike about massive multiplayer online games, which means that by default, a new MMO is immediately competing with the top of that hill. Could you imagine trying to enter that space and these are the guys you're standing next to, trying to gain their players? Good luck. The best kind of player base to get for a brand new MMO is a new MMO player. Ones that haven't experienced the other ones yet, and you're going to be their first experience.
I made a whole video on this recently, but the reality is, and I said this in my video, is that there's no new MMO players because game genres are somewhat generational. And if you're a teenager right now, you're not playing MMOs. You're just not. You're playing Valorant, you're playing Minecraft, you're playing Fortnite, you're playing Roblox or whatever. MMOs, you know, are like, if you're a 90s kid, you played MMOs, but yeah, so you have a finite user base that you're trying to like cannibalize if you're in the MMO space, and that's pretty much it. And for the new players, like, they barely exist, right? And that's tough because you need new players, and that's kind of what the premise of my video from a couple weeks ago was about.
Which would mean trying to appeal to the iPad babies, the TikTok brains, the fucking Fortnite Warzoners. You know, the ones that can't even hold their attention to short form content unless there is a video below the main content that has some car surfing on ramps so that their weird brains allow them to stay there. Dude, drop a 14-year-old into vanilla WoW Northshire and see how long it takes for their brains to start freaking out because there's not enough colors and numbers. The generation following us is not gonna really be interested in this slower paced MMO style that we fell in love with. Why would they run around Elwyn Forest or go kill goblins in Lumbridge when in that same time frame they could have had 3 adrenaline pumping Warzone games to feel dopamine from?
Yeah,
they don't chase the same numbers going up that we do. It makes me wonder if the generation following us, when they get to be our age, if they're going to be more interested in goal-oriented things like long-term MMO goals. I don't see new generations coming into MMOs, and I don't see current MMO players jumping to a new one when they've already established their community and love for one that they've been a part of for years.
Yeah. I wonder if Jimmy saw my video. That's exactly what we were talking about.
I think the current games that we have in the MMO space are going to remain there, at least for as long as both the players and the devs have that desire. In order for an MMO to take the reins, become the next big thing, to really be the game changer, it's going to have to be very outside the box. Never done before, a big risk. Chances are the next MMO to really overtake these or even see equal success as these hasn't even been thought of yet. But I just have this strange feeling that the next MMO that comes out that has 6 classes to choose from, a woodcutting skill, and 2004-ass fetch quests is not going to be the one to see themselves at the top of that hill with those. It's just a hunch. I don't know. This
Yeah,
Ashes of
probably, right?
Creation game I've seen talked about for like the last 3 years is supposedly going to be the MMO that changes everything. They had this dev blog come out at the end of March, and I was like, okay, this looks cool. And on the side of the screen, I see some quests about killing 20 goblins. And I'm like, no fucking way that this is the revolutionary thing. The next big MMO is not gonna have kill 20 goblins as a fucking quest, I promise. They've already lost in my eyes. There's no way, there's just no way another one of those is gonna be the one to be up there. I don't know. There's a few things that I believe the
Like, for me, one of the things I look at, like, I'm not really looking at the quest as much. I'm looking at the movement. And when you play this video, the movement, it just feels like a little blocky. The movement, like, the movement is such a critical part to a game's success, just how the character moves. Like, I feel like everyone who plays an MMO, who's been used to the WoW engine, all you have to do is log into another MMO for 4 seconds and just jump. Press the spacebar, move left and right, and then instantly from just that, you can tell how successful the game is going to be. Like, at least you can get a pretty decent assessment of how successful the game is going to be. Because that's all, like, if the game movement sucks, no one's going to play, period. Like, it doesn't, not this, like, I'm sorry, bro. The graphics don't matter if the game movement sucks. The story doesn't really matter if the like, you can't even play the game if the movement sucks. Like, you can't even get past, it's like step 0. Like, make sure the movement feels good. If your character's rolling, if your character's doing a little jiggle left and right, if your character's doing a freaking backflip, you can't have jankiness because no one's gonna want to play that. Wow, I don't know if it was an accident. Hit this on the damn head. Darn head, family friendly. Like, it just feels so good to play WoW. Like, when you move in WoW, it just is so buttery. It's so smooth. It's perfect. And like, that to me is the #1 reason WoW is actually successful. All the other stuff, of course, it supports it, but like, that's number 0, dude. Like, yeah, it's so critical.
Be up there. I don't know. There's a few things that I believe the next big MMO needs to do differently. I think the #1 priority is to come up with a structure that eliminates the locust swarm effect. Finish this as fast as possible. Get to max level as fast as possible. Get to the end game, the best in slot, the min-maxing as fast as possible. It's a real shitty habit that we've developed with video games, especially MMOs recently. I think it's played such a big role in the overall downfall of MMOs, why everything feels underwhelming now. Unfortunately, I think as long as a game structure exists that allows for that kind of mentality, it's not going to find the success that it would have found back when we weren't playing games like that, in the golden age of MMOs, when things were actually enjoyed. That's why we want to play games solo now. It's why you can get from level 1 to 70 playing by yourself in WoW. And that's not going to make for a successful MMO. You might as well just make a single player game. Other MMOs would benefit a lot by trying a more RuneScape style quest system, where it feels almost like a mission with a lot of benefits afterwards, rather than just the same generic copy-pasted coding of a quest of going and getting 10 mushrooms on a tree and bringing it back for XP. It's the reason why a game like RuneScape, which people have always poked fun at its graphics, feels more alive than a game with fucking Unreal Engine 5. It's the way it feels when you're a part of that world. And I think a lot of MMOs kind of look the other way when it comes to structuring things like that. They're too scared to try something else for progression. I don't know, they just play it too safe. The world has to feel alive, and everyone's end goal can't be the same. I'm not a game dev, I'm just a consumer. I complain. My role here is to complain. I'm not the guy.
No, Jimmy, it's easy to complain. It's really hard to come up with solutions. Like, if you're someone on the forums that is constantly whining, or on Reddit, like, yeah, it's really easy to complain. It's hard to be like, okay, well, how would I actually make this better? And then actually write your thoughts down or make a video about it and try to articulate them. Not just like think it, but actually try to articulate them. And then it's like, well, would it actually be better? Well, maybe not. Well, maybe I could iterate upon that, and then this would actually be better. Would that work? Well, maybe not either. Okay, well, maybe we can iterate on the iteration and make it a better iteration. And it's like, well, now you're doing the job of a game dev, and that's not easy. All right, so like, with proper respect to game devs, it doesn't sound easy, right?
I knew what this next MMO looked like I would be trying to make it. I promise you I would. I don't think any current game devs have really wrapped their head around what it takes to bring an MMO to the next level, but I think with a lot of emerging game engines and technology we're capable of now, we're eventually going to see that thing that really makes our eyes widen and our mouths salivate. It's gonna happen. Could be a year from now, 10 years from now. Our generation of MMO players, probably the only generation of MMO players, are going to be looking for that game, and we'll know it when we see it. But for now, I think we're just gonna be cozy in the games that we play. For a more optimistic look, I think if RuneScape has taught me anything, other MMOs have really not experimented with shit. They have not really opened up the sandbox of themselves. The fact that World of Warcraft just recently released a hardcore version after it took someone developing an entire plugin to do it just kind of shows how they haven't really tried shit yet. And the fact that they just tried a battle royale is even funnier. They're trying, you know.
Yo, dude, I feel like I'm getting shot at here. I liked hardcore and the BR. Was it a little late? Yeah, maybe 5 to 10, 15, 20 years late, but like, bro, it was fun. All right, it was fun.
We'll give it to them. Blizzard's trying. They might be 10 years too late to the Battle Royale boom we mentioned earlier, but they're trying, and we've got to give them that credit. Blizzard has done everything in their power to self-destruct, and they're still standing. It's incredible. If they're not going down by now, they're never going down, all right? That company's here to stay, which gives me confidence that other MMOs will be here to stay too. So we don't really have anything to worry about when it comes to our favorite games, our cozy home base being gone. And I think a lot of MMOs need to take advantage of this world that they've created and the different capabilities their engines have, and look and see how they can approach things differently, like RuneScape has, with hardcore modes, Iron Man modes, and region locks with leagues, restricted game modes, challenges, people like watching challenges. And I think a lot of the big MMOs nowadays have the ability to implement something like that to keep their current active player bases occupied and entertained for a long time. And all that being said, I truly hope I look like an idiot a week from today when that next big thing is announced. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I think there's a future for MMOs, and we'll all be here for it. Anyway, I think that's all I got. I've been putting together the house video. It's just 5 days of a lot of footage. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. I also have a special project I can't really talk about right now, but I'm working on that beginning of May. Other than that,
I wonder what that is it World of Warcraft related? Maybe.
It's been a pleasure. Great seeing you. Take it easy.
So I don't know, man. To me, I made a full video on this. I think game genres are a bit generational, and to me, it's like, am I excited for future MMOs? It's like, yeah, but we need new players. If you want something to really blow up like WoW did in 2004, you need new players. How do you get new players? Well, you have to appeal to Zoomers. How do you appeal to Zoomers? Well, you have to like make a lot of you have to give a lot of dopamine hits because they're used to like TikTok and Warzone and stuff. It's like, okay, well, we need to like, so what would a successful MMO in 2024 actually look like? Like, I don't know. And if it blew up, would us boomers even like it? Because there's like a great divide, so to speak. I don't know. To me, I feel like if you like classic MMOs, we had that golden era and it was kind of gone. At the start of the video, I related it to like the golden era of bodybuilding. And it's like, well, that era was so good because it's something kind of a little intangible, but the drugs weren't as good. That's for sure. The bodybuilders weren't as big, so it was more fun to watch because it was more relatable. But that was due to some level of ignorance, right? Like the drugs weren't as good, the people didn't get as big, the science wasn't as advanced. So it's like you had a lesser product, but that product was better. And you can make a similar claim with OSRS. You can make a similar claim with classic World of Warcraft. You can make similar claims across the board, but it's like, well, how do you go back? It's like, bro, have you seen Lost? You can't go back, bud. You can't go back. All right, Pandora's box has been opened. So anyway, yeah, maybe I do agree. Might have been the golden era. Maybe there'll be some new stuff. But if the new stuff catches on, are we even going to like it as old school MMO enjoyers, boomers?